So, hello everyone, again on another podcast after 2.5 million years. I welcome you all. I'm not old, he's not old, and you guys are probably old enough to not watch this anymore. So, yeah, welcome everyone.
Oh, I'm probably old enough now.
Do,
My
do,
silver is showing, at least. Not why might be not on the camera, but definitely is showing.
so, bodily, do you feel old? Physically, do you feel old? Or is it something that not.
Uh, Not exactly.
No.
On, on the contrary, I'd say I feel young enough.
Okay. In what terms? How do you define if a person is old physically or mentally, emotionally, or he's young? How do you compare? Do you have a parameter for it, or do you take a person, let's say, who is 30 years old, and you start comparing yourself with them? How do you do that?
Physically, is it is a simple matter of defining your capabilities, which start deteriorating after a certain age, which generally happens with the body. Like we start losing plastine, that one, I think it's a compound or something, which keeps your skin tight. You start losing that, and your general capabilities start to go down as well. Your neural mass starts to decrease. Your muscle mass also starts to go down if you don't keep on doing your physical exertions. So physically speaking, it's an easy task to quantify whether you have gotten old or not. Mentally, however, it's something that doesn't follow or adhere to any specific parameters. If you feel old, like if you believe that you are old, it's not just about feeling, it's believing that you are old. Then you are old at the age of 25. If you don't feel old, if you don't believe that you are old, you might feel energetic enough at the age of 60. Milind Soman is a great example of that. He's 60 something and he's fit as a fiddle.
Yeah, that's very. Yeah.
On the other hand, we have typical adults who have crossed their 50s or 40s, even 40s, and they are sluggish and unresponsive and static. That's the word here, static. They tend to be unchanging, unflinching about whatever they have become, and they stop caring about it as well.
So, biologically speaking, yes, it's true how the skin starts to deteriorate and how your hair starts to go out. These things are fine, but when it comes to mental ability, as you said, there are few people in their 40s or even in their late 30s, they often start feeling that they are old. Do you not think that's because of their work culture? Especially when it comes to the corporate world where they have to grind from 9 to 5, even beyond that, and the work is very monotonous and even mind-boggling. So, and when you compare such people with army personnel, for example, they don't look old, even when in their 40s. Except, yeah, because of stress, they usually lose their hair. That's very true. I've seen many, but not specifically. Even doctors. Do you remember this one doctor in Ghaziabad? He used to live just 2 kilometers away from our house. He used to
Dr.
run.
Amit,
Yeah, you
I know.
remember? He was in his late 40s. He was around 50 years old. He didn't. He doesn't. He still doesn't look like he's in his 50s. So even mentally, though he had some knowledge gaps, but he was even trying to fill them. So we cannot say that he was not mentally strong or mentally old. He was mentally also young. He was physically also young, and emotionally, yes, because being a doctor, you have to be emotionally strong, any which ways. So such factors when we cue in, I think, so because of your field, especially the kind of people that you interact with, the kind of people that you meet, are from corporate world, mostly, I would say, and either from corporate world or again they're doing PhDs, and people who are doing PhD these days are not doing because they want to, because but they want a source of income that even allows them to study further. No offense, but that's a harsh reality. uh,
That is the general truth, yes.
in India especially.
In India especially.
Yeah. So, considering all these, now I don't think it is about the calling a person old or young. Uh, it's something that has to do with the day-to-day activities, especially day-to-day activities, and the profession that one pursues. Perhaps I don't
Perhaps. And before I say anything, I regret making that joke about silver,
know about.
about my silver in my hair,
Oh yeah, you should.
because it has uh, dragged us down to this rabbit hole where we are talking about how it is like to actually become old. So yeah, and talking about what you have said, I think you are pretty much on spot about the whole stress and monotony of life that makes them grow, accelerate their age. That does play a crucial role in these this weakness that creeps up in the people who are not supposed to be that weak, who are not supposed to be past their prime just yet. So that definitely does play a part in aging them this rapidly, and that is something that people should be wary about, because now we are there is this momentum going on where we are trying to make people aware of their physical mental well-being as well, alongside their financial and social status as well. So I think this is the right time where we should be talking about this and we should be focusing on this. What do you think about that?
As you said a few days ago when we were talking about muscle building, how important it is for elders to do it, especially so our elders and the older generation, of course. Uh, you mentioned that when it is compulsory for a student, a young student, to do certain things like wake up early in the morning, you should brush your teeth twice a day, things like that. Few parameters that has already been set up by the society. There should also be parameter for older people. They should be focusing on muscle building. They should be focusing on meditation, health in general, especially muscle building because that's something people do not consider it to be feasible anymore. Because again, uh, people associate old age with lack of strength.
A sense of reality.
Yeah.
That's
So
what the old age is about for a lot of people.
true, true. So I feel you are very right to say that such parameters should be set up so that I met this very old man whom I called my guru. So he was running after a few like let me give you a background. Few of buffalo, few buffalo. They entered his house and he took a stick and he was running after them and he was in his late 70s. He was running after running and jumping after them. So it is because of his physical labor that is here. And it's not like we can say he's a village person, so the kind of life people live in village, they are accustomed to it. That's not true. He's a very intelligent guy in terms of understanding the world, and he is very educated. That's what I'm saying. He's not a conventional individual. It doesn't mean one cannot emulate what he has been doing. It's just one's intention, whether one wants to.
I feel for this particular thing, Bilin Soman has set a very great example. He is, I think, 60 something, and he can run a triathlon, an Iron marathon, a lot of physically almost impossible tasks, even for a youngster. And he can do that even after he has gone past his physical prime in terms of age. Same goes for, say, Shah Rukh Khan as well. He was like 56, I think, when he did Pathan, and he had 8 pack abs for it. One can, of course, argue that they are film stars, they have all the money and the necessity because they are supposed to be playing a particular role in a particular film and they're supposed to look a particular way, which can be made as an argument. But Instead of disparaging them, we can instead follow the examples to some extent. If we can follow their example of drinking, smoking, and doing a lot of other things that are not exactly beneficial for you in terms of health or social standing, we can also emulate some of their better things. This also reminds me of what was his name again? Tahir. Yes, he was a cricketer, South African. He also played for CSK for a long time. So I think he was 42 when he last played in his CSK season, and his celebration after taking a wicket involved running around the whole ground, doing like this, like an aeroplane. So it's a very childish move, but for a 42-year-old, that is pretty impressive. And he was a very fit guy who always delivered in his matches. He took at least up 1 wicket or 2 wickets in every match he played. He was a very crucial key player, and despite being and that was he was one of the key players who was instrumental in making CSK champion despite them being called the team of uncles back in 2021, I think. So that was very impressive to see. And I think people like these should be emulated. People, our people who are old and who are getting old, they should try to emulate these people in these good things, in these good attitudes.
Even that's very true. See, the problem, not a problem, but I would say uh, the example. See, athletes, they are meant to be athletes.
Yes.
They have to be physically fit. They need to have a workout regime, and their whole life revolves around that particular activity. So, but yeah, but emulating them, seeing their strength, like even Virat Kohli is in his 40s, if I'm not wrong, in his
He was
early.
30, 38, I think.
Okay,
37 or 38.
so let's say Ronaldo, he is 42, if I'm not wrong.
I'm pretty sure he's 39, but we can take Mahendra Singh Dhoni as an example. He's 42 and he played the IPL with a very strong muscle build.
Yes, true, true. So, such examples are testaments to what a person can achieve. It's not impossible, that's for sure. And it's not like you have to become Dhoni and you are trying to
Infinite
outrun
shots.
your younger colleagues. That's not the motive, but the motive is to stay healthy and as healthy as one can be. If you are in your 60s, you should try to look like in this present scenario, like you are in your 40s or your 50s. It's one
That's
aspiration that should be there, perhaps. And one of the major component for that is people often overstate that eating a lot of food, a lot of protein, a lot of everything is good. But I would beg to differ because um, I've been eating less, and I've seen people who are eating less are getting better results because of the intermediate fasting. So, do you have any comments about intermediate fasting and it reverse aging?
intermittent. Intermittent fasting is good if you are trying to curb your eating habits. If you are using that as a like a punctuation mark to ensure that you stop eating the amount of food that you are usually eating, and then use that as a stepstone to reduce your overall diet intake, then it might be helpful. But what people tend to do is they fast for a couple of days and then go back to their eating habits, maybe even worsen them by eating more and more. Because in terms of like I have not been eating for 2 days now, let me make up for that. That is also one of the weirdest things about the whole fasting during the festivals, like in Navratri or in like the Monday fasting that people do tend to do. Uh, they might be fasting, but they might also be stuffing their face with snacks which are not exactly healthy. I've seen this happen a lot. Like people are eating savories. I don't like this word. I prefer saying namkeen here. But these things that are not exactly healthy and should be eaten sparingly are eaten a lot during the fasting festivals. So that does not mitigate anything that you have been doing wrong for the whole time. So that's one thing that, where intermittent fasting might fail if you are not careful about what you're eating and how much you are eating.
Um, I think I generalized a lot when I said uh, eating less and for intermediate fasting. I think like what I wanted to say was it's not about fasting or eating less. It's about the body type also. Like you can eat a lot of food very easily. Even you even people who leave their food के याद ही खा लेंगे. So that's something that happens with you. On the other hand, I cannot eat a lot. If I eat a lot, that leads to uh, unsolicited consequences like bloating and stomach ache and the food not getting digested, etc. This is true for most of the elder people as well. Like here, our father, he cannot eat a lot because again, if he eats a lot of junk food, his stomach gets upset, and that happens because of the acidic juice is not the bile basically. It's not being produced a lot improperly, and thus food is not being digested. And again, diabetes is another cause that is leading to this. So in such cases, and as you grow older, I think you should eat less. That's what I personally think. Lesser than you ate before. If you ate, say, one bowl of rice, then you should reduce it to half. And you should get yourself accustomed to that, so that your body can eventually adjust to the new diet. So that again, so that the body can absorb the nutrients better and get more energy.
That is true. That is one of the consequences of getting old, physically speaking, which we were talking about earlier. So yes, of course, people should do start adjusting their diets, not just according by their age, but according to what their body is trying to give them as well. Why are we talking like we are nutritionists or something?
No, we absolutely are not.
We should probably put a disclaimer here that we are not qualified in any way to dole out any scientifically backed advices. We are just talking about what we think might be a good thing to do and what we have experienced to be a good part of our lives. Because, not to brag, we are plenty fit. We are the kind of people who could go from ground floor to 15th floor via stairs without breaking much of a sweat.
Yeah, that's
So,
true. Prefer that, I would say.
but that does not make us in any way nutrition specialists. All
Yeah.
right,
And
disclaimer over.
few doctors might be watching this, so yes.
Yes, yes. So that's exactly why we do not claim to be any experts in any way. We are just talking about our experiences. We are hoping to give you a perspective about what can be done instead of doing what you have been doing. So that's just it.
And also, if you know something more and if you would like to contribute by telling about your experiences or your knowledge, or if you are a specialist by any chance, you can, of course, write down in the comments below, which is going to be empty anyways. So, that's all. So when it comes to growing old, I would say it's about adjustments that we make. It's not growing old is about adjustments. How our body is getting accustomed to different foods that we eat. How our body is getting accustomed to how much strength that we are able to use in a day. How much energy we are able to use in a day in order to use the same kind of energy or same kind of strength like the way we used to in youth. That can be adjusted through food. That's what I think. That's the importance of food in our day-to-day life. Apart from that, again, muscle building. That food needs to be used somehow, and that food needs to be instead of having more fat, you need more muscle. You have to have ample fat, but ample fat have to be the ratio should be maintained. It's not like you are very fatty and you're not able to. Yeah, I mean, again, people with conditions may have issues. Like so few people who are having thyroid, they cannot help it. They will gain fat. They cannot help it. But if you are fit enough, then you should be maintaining that.
So, since we are talking about fat now, it reminds me of this one controversy that recently occurred because of the second installment of God of War. So, God of War is a very popular video game about this one very angry dude who accidentally kills his wife, and because of the gods that have incited him to kill his wife, he goes on a rampage to kill all of the Greek gods. So, in this next installment of games that is happening right now, he has retired from all his anger and stuff, and is living a very peaceful life in a Nordic village. But since he was a god of war, uh, his life is always embroiled in one warrior or the other. And this particular story is no exception. So the Nordic gods have invaded, and some stuff happens, blah 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 blah, blah happens, and we get to have Thor in the second installment of the game. So Thor in the MCU is a very ripped guy. Chris Hemsworth is one of the fittest man I've ever seen in my life, and in the game though, he is a chonkus, as we call it. He's a very thick guy. He's a very fat guy, and he does not look at all like Chris Hemsworth. Not in terms of hair, his luxurious hair, not in terms of his sexy sleek body, not in terms of his, maybe the voice might be same. I do not know, but the other appearance wise, there is no similarity.
So basically, not THICC, but THICK.
Exactly. It was not the paragon of physical fitness that we were very used. We have been very much used to since like 2010, I think. So there were a lot of people who were angry at the video games for at the development studio for not portraying Thor as the masculine god of thunder that he was supposed to be. But accurately speaking, Thor has always been a very fat boy, and it's because food and combined with particular kind of exercises can grant you the kind of strength that only gods could have. A lot of strong men, the people who can deadlift 300 lbs or something like it's nothing, they tend to not have the chiseled body that we are used to, that we consider to be the golden standard of fitness nowadays. They are very, very bulkily built. Not only their arms, but their tummy and this chest are barreled, like they are very rotund in shape. But their strength and their fitness is undeniable. They tend to be one of the some of the most fittest people on the planet, and the fat that they have accumulated does not hinder them from that. So since we're talking about the accumulation of fat and how it cannot be helped in some people, they can they should not focus on the shape and the structure of their body, but rather the overall fitness, the feeling that they are supposed to generate from their bodies. They're not so they might not look like they could climb up and down a stair, but they should be able to do that, and that is what matters.
That's very true, and that's a very good example. Thor comparing the two Thor from two different universes. Can you say that they are from two different universes? They are from two different universes, of course. Well, anyways, not going out of topic. Um, you're right, but I feel not for everyone, but for a lot of people, uh, the image that they build for themselves is very important. How you're looking, how you are looking first, how you're looking for yourself when you're looking yourself in the mirror. How do you feel, and how do you feel when others are looking at you? Now, normally people say, and I would agree, it doesn't matter how others think about you, and this body will eventually wither no matter what you do. But don't you think if a person can look good, one should try to look good in terms of physical fitness, in terms of roughness? Is do you what do you say about that?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. What I was trying to say that was not about uh, not necessarily becoming chiseled like Chris Hemsworth or Chris Evans, but trying to become the best version of yourselves. Uh, if you can attain a body like Chris Hemsworth, then go for it. If you can become like Bruce Lee, who was a very rather skinny person as compared to the bulkier people like Hrithik or Hemsworth, you go for that as well. If you can attain your physical strength while looking like the video game Thor, then go for that as well. But what matters is trying to become what you can become instead of becoming satisfied with whatever calamitous body that you have.
Mm, mm. True, true. So becoming the best version of oneself should always be one's goal, no matter how old or young they are, right? So even the goal also changes with time. When we are younger, not 15, 16, but when we are 18, that's the time when we can build the most muscle. From 18 to 30, that's the time. So the best time to build as ourselves as best as possible when it comes to physically, right? After that, the aspirations change. After 30, you tend to wish to be healthier, healthier in terms of mental fitness, mental alertness, and physical fitness. You again, as you said, 15 uh, floors you can try to climb, if even if the lift is down, or if you have to walk for a very long time, say if your car broke down. So these real life scenarios, if you are able to handle, that's when you can say, okay, I'm fit enough. Otherwise, if you are not able to even do the basic mundane task of your life, that hinders things a lot. Like a lot of people these days are not able to focus. Mm. As they grow older, I would say this attention span because of phones. That's definitely have. I might be talking like an old guy now, but attention span is decreasing day by day because of again these short videos, short content, short articles, in shorts, short news. Uh, so that definitely reducing our attention span. And specifically, I don't know about others, but mentally, we are definitely going to suffer in the next few years. I'm just trying to drive the topic away from uh, towards. I'm trying to drive the topic towards mental health also, mental fitness also.
Hmm. I'm not entirely sure that Instagram and the social media has sole responsibility of shortening our time span, attention spans. But yes, they definitely are enabling that because these are the easy things that are we have the access to, and this is our tendency to make our lives as easy as predictable as possible. We are we are a little wasn't the thermodynamics second thermodynamics rule about entropy and how a system tends to go towards the lower entropic level, right?
Yeah,
That's it, right? I tend to get confused between the high entropy and low
you're
entropy.
wrong person, wrong questions.
No, but wait, let me check this. This
Yeah,
second,
check into it.
second law of thermodynamics. Thank God for the internet. Physical law based on universal empirical observation of suddenly energy. In statements of low nucleus contains from hotter to colder. Yep, so I think I'm right. The system tends to go from high energy to low energy, from
Yeah.
high entropy to low entropy. So people are like that. People tend to try to go towards whatever is comfortable, and comfort often equates to a lower entropic, lower randomness level, where you know what is going to happen. And since Instagram or other social media tend to have these 10-second clips where you can just watch it and forget about it, thereby not increasing your information entropy in a manner of speaking. So yes, they definitely are enabling this shorter attention span, but it's not solely because of that. It's because of us. We are demanding these shorter videos, shorter clips, shorter entertainments, if I may. Which is also why We have our Bollywood movies producing constant rubbish. We have our politicians doing constantly rubbish things in the name of entertainment because that is what we are demanding. That is what we tend to enjoy. And that is why Sidhu is still commentating. In spite of saying some very profane words which should not be spoken on live TV, let alone on people for people who are might be underage and might be influenced very easily by such vulgar language because that is what we are demanding. And if we stop demanding them, then only can we start to have something better. And so it's very easy to blame all these things, saying that this is what has caused social decadence in the last 5 years or so. But what are you doing about this? What is your individual responsibility related to this? What have you done to improve your life? If you are bitching about it while simultaneously watching Instagram Reels for 10 hours, then you are part of the problem. So mental health is not the sole responsibility of someone else. You'll have to take some of it on your own as well. That is what I believe. Same goes for physical health as well, but it goes double for mental health because mental health is something that you have to deal with every day. Physical health can be ignored for a little while because that health, that strength is not needed all the time. But mental health, on the other hand, is needed 24/7. And we are really, really careless in taking care of that. Not just because we are addicted to social media, but because we really don't feel the need for fixing that.
I agree. Since there is a demand for these short videos, these short videos are being produced on a very massive scale, be it on YouTube Shorts, be it Instagram Reels, be it TikTok videos, which are now banned in India, by the way. But there's also something called market force demands, in which market is creating an artificial demand for people so that they can have something to consume. Do you know about that? See, like YouTube used to have a trending page right beside home page. There used to be a trending page, and then there's subscription page, and then there is your own playlist. So instead of that trending, they've removed it completely. First of all, they've removed it from there. Instead, started showing shorts, YouTube shorts, and whenever you open YouTube application, it usually opens to YouTube shorts.
It does.
So it does, yeah. So that is something they are trying to create this demand, this artificial demand, because of a lot of reason. It's again, the viewers for these shorts are very high in number. It is very easy to promote. It is very easy to advertise products on those short videos. They do not have to pay a lot of money to these short creators. So that's artificial demand. That's not just on us, not completely on us, I would say. It is something that we can control. Like I have deleted my Instagram, I've deleted WhatsApp, I've deleted all sort of social media in order to avoid such kind of distraction because I know myself. I will be a person who tend to get very addicted to such short videos and such short content. I've nearly deleted everything. Um, but that came from a necessity. That came from a necessity that I have to utilize my time for something else. What if I was a corporate individual who works 9 to 5, who comes back home with nearly no dopamine and wish to have a dopamine hit through these videos? Because what they eventually do is give you a dopamine hit, right? So if I am someone like that, how would I be able to identify something, identify a problem which doesn't even exist in my mind? So that's the issue which I think is there. Um, in order to actually see such podcasts that's why such podcasts are necessary. These things needs to be produced in very massive scale so that people can be aware. But again, it's such a long video. People are addicted to short videos. Who is going to watch it? So that's something that people need to be made aware. That first, they need to be aware about that there is a problem. Second, they need to be aware about what are the consequences of these problems. Third, what are the things that they can do to curb this problem, if not eliminate it. Um, and fourth, they need to keep evaluating their life for such issues that are there and their possible solutions. That's what my take is on whether a person himself can find himself find such problems in things like shorts.
Hmm. There's this one thing though, the system that promotes these things and is very indirectly responsible for the propagation of all the dopamine hitters, all those things that can instantly make you feel happy only for a minute. But that too needs to be fixed. Since you mentioned the IT sector, which is probably uh, the most affected sector of them all, which that is the first thing that we should be fixing as well. Because if you cannot have much time for yourself, if you cannot have the other options that you can have for making yourself feel better, then these short videos, the short contents are going to be only options that you are going to have. And they are needed. This happiness is needed for the survival, for the conservation of the mental health that an individual possesses. That is something that also needs to be at least talked about. And since some European countries are trying to get the 4-day week plan into action, and there's also this idea of hybrid work gaining some popularity. These might help in making them better equipped for taking care of their mental health. It's a very unfortunate thing that some corporate moguls are trying to oppose this idea, saying that we have succeeded by working 995. Have you heard about 995 or was it 996? 996, sorry. It's 996 in China, which was very much promoted by Alibaba Group. They claim that people should be working from 9 to 9 for the 6 days of a week, which is basically 12 hours for a company for 6 days a week. And that would be like 54, about 300 days a year, 300 plus days a year, 12 hours per day.
Hmm.
So if we are going to promote a culture like this, we would have no options but to rely on these fleeting moments of happiness to keep our sanity going. So that's one thing that we should be focusing on a little. Also, as we've mentioned, a podcast like this or any podcast where we talk about the alternate of all the things that we traditionally tend to do in a modern society, these need to be promoted, these need to be put forward for the people. And I also think people should also actively participate in such conversations as well on their own. They do not have to be bare biceps level popular, but some people can form their own groups and talk about stuff and post them online just for the heck of it. That could be one thing that might help give them a new perspective, some new ideas about their own lives, or at least help them to vent out so that they could at least know what they are going through exactly. As I often think about this one ghazal by Jagdeep Singh, if I may be allowed to speak a little
Yeah,
Hindi,
please go on. Please
कि
go
किसको आती है मसीहाई इसे आवाज दूं बोल ए खूंखार तन्हाई इसे आवाज दूं. So this Kunkha Tanhai is something that pretty much all of us are facing right now, and there is no one who has the kind of sainthood who could help us out, who could save us from that loneliness that we feel encroaching on our souls day by day.
That's very true. I completely forgot about that 996 work culture. And that ghazal is something that I think many people, even you and me, can relate to. I don't think this issue can be curbed without such dialogues, which we are doing, which many people are also doing. And if someone is watching, we even invite you to come to this small initiative that we have started. And if not our platform, build your own platform, talk about such issues, and just try to engage your mind as much as possible towards solutions to issues even which you are not even aware about. So, yeah, that's about it, I guess. And we are almost out of our time. Also, it's 4:15. I think it was a very great conversation. Uh, Being able to explore things which we usually don't do over calls, I would say. It's something that's very unique. It's formal, yes, it is a little formal, but it's very productive. I personally found it very well. What about you?
I hope we keep having these conversations like this because, if nothing else, I get to learn about things that I might not be aware about. And I hope that you get to learn about things as well. And I don't think we should be, or anyone should be for that matter, trying to aim high about changing the world itself. The world's too big. It has been never been as big as it is right now. The amount of people alone makes it staggeringly impossible to reach all of them. And I don't think an individual alone, especially an individual of our level, has the kind of power that could change a lot of people, let alone the whole world. But at least talking about things is fun, and this fun, this little bits of dopamine that we can generate from this is enough to sustain for a long time, a longer period of time. I think that is alone what makes everything that we are doing worthwhile enough. And I think
Yeah,
that is what we should be focusing the most on.
that's very true, and I hope it reaches to some people at least. Just so not because again reach, but and not because of reach or preach, but so that they can teach each other. So yeah, let's just end it on this. Thank you for coming to the podcast again, despite this long gap. Um, this is actually we are trying some things new. Like I've changed my format. We are talking in English. That's something we are trying. So if in case there were fumbles, if in case there were grammatical errors, just please forgive us for that. And let's just end it at
It's
that.
not like we are perfect when we are talking in Hindi either, so what does it
First,
matter?
yeah, yeah. So let's end it with that. Have a great day, guys, and peace out. Okay.